Authority does not impose consequences on the merciless. It compensates them. Observe the world meticulously. The individuals who ascend most rapidly are. Rarely do they adhere to principles of fairness. Individuals smile. They engage in a handshake, yet beneath the surface, they engage in calculation. They regard kindness as the art of concealment. They discuss foundational concepts as they discreetly hone their instruments. And you have been educated in the art of combat. In accordance with established guidelines, it has been conveyed to you that equity is essential, bestows upon you a sense of dignity. But fairness is a tether. It maintains a sense of predictability, while individuals of lesser ability, diminished value, excluded, progressing forward, unencumbered by any constraints. Machiavelli grasped this concept long before our time. He composed for individuals encircled by adversaries, individuals who lack the luxury of indecision. He possesses a remarkable depth of understanding, instructed them on the nuances of loyalty, how to exploit moral principles, strategies for achieving victory without. I extend my sincerest apologies. Those lessons remain relevant. Individuals are everlasting. This is not a matter of embracing cruelty for its own sake, for one's own benefit. The essence lies in the act of enduring. It exists regarding the importance of not allowing another individual's perception. The principles of morality determine your destiny. The realm values outcomes above all else. Please cease inquiring about what constitutes equity. Commence by inquiring about what functions, for the reason that if you do not accept what is yours, a person of lesser strength yet greater audacity shall prevail. You have been led to accept the notion that true power is rooted in equity. The quality of being decent will ultimately receive recognition. However, the study of history narrates an alternative tale, one imbued with a certain chill. Each empire, each dynasty, each corporation, the prevailing structures of today were established not on equitable competition, yet pursued with unyielding determination. Acquired power transcends mere discourse. It is not the case. A domain in which individuals achieve victory through adherence to the guidelines is a quiet conflict in which only individuals prepared to undertake endeavors that others shy away from persist. The world fails to acknowledge the merit of virtue. It is the utilization of rewards. Moreover, leverage is seldom acquired through mere existence. Pleasing. Consider those individuals who surpass you in existence. They do not consistently possess greater intelligence, more robust, or exhibiting greater self-control. However, they possess a singular attribute that you steadfastly decline to cultivate. They have already accomplished their decision to proceed. Once the tumult subsides, no one recalls those who adhere to principles of fairness. Individuals merely recall the victor. Ruthlessness does not equate to indiscriminate cruelty. It exists. Self-control. It embodies clarity. Engage in the. Can integrity and altruism lead to success? Alternatively, are they utilized, cast aside, and overlooked amidst the frigid and resolute? Establish authority? Cease the self-deception. Cease to hold the belief that the world will extend its respect. Thank you for adhering to the guidelines, which you may not have fully comprehended. Compose. Should you desire liberation? Should you desire to lead rather than follow? You must relinquish the naive conviction that individuals will respond to you in accordance with the manner in which you engage with them. They shall not. Upon ceasing to anticipate equity, one ceases to be astonished by treachery. You cease expending energy on indignation. Thus, you commence your preparations. That serves as the initial instrument of the merciless, comprehending existence in its purest form, devoid of illusions, devoid of sentiment. Engage in action. Do not conflate this with the process of becoming an antagonist. There is no necessity for overt expression. Harsh, indeed, the most potent form of influence, remains subdued, imperceptible. One does not make an announcement. Uncompromising determination. One merely takes action in the presence of others. Pause. You opt for resolute actions in place of an interminable discourse on ethics. One acquires knowledge when one is able to act decisively, and when to present a facade of joy, the edge of the weapon. Henceforth the inquiry necessitates modification. Cease inquiring. In what manner is it possible to achieve victory while maintaining one's integrity? Let us begin. Inquiring, what strategies can I employ to achieve victory? End of discussion. Morality is an indulgence for those who already possess authority. For all others, it constitutes a confinement. Machiavelli articulated, history is replete with the remnants of individuals who endeavored to embody virtue. They held a conviction. Only a sense of decency would provide them with protection. Individuals presumed that if they inflicted no harm upon others, one might inflict harm upon them. However, the world indeed does not function based on ethical equilibrium. It functions through the application of energy. Power attracts. Audacity, not virtue. Observe your surroundings. The individuals who progress most swiftly are seldom the most unadulterated. They are the agents of motion. Without reluctance, those who decline to inquire. Authorization, those who behave as if they are unavoidable. This represents the profound truth of authority. Individuals tend to place their faith in that which seems unequivocal. Even falsehoods can attain a semblance of truth when articulated with conviction. Power. Even frailty appears as fortitude when born with sufficient self-assurance. This elucidates the cautionary advice provided by Machiavelli to those in positions of leadership. Individuals, it is evident that you harbor a concern about being perceived as unkind. That indecision can lead to dire consequences. The merciless do not achieve victory due to their superior intellect, or stronger, they prevail due to their lack of engagement. Pause. In the realm of decision-making, one evaluates alternatives. They capitalize on opportunities. In the realm of concern, concerning the pursuit of approval, they concentrate solely on being adhered to. Contemplate char buia, the individual reminiscent of Machiavelli, held in the highest regard. Buia's power was not established upon principles of equity. It was constructed upon meticulously orchestrated dread. When carried out with precision, it appears unobtrusive. I do not appreciate ruthlessness in any form. It appears that fortitude, it appears to embody the essence of leadership. Individuals possess an inherent desire for structure and are inclined to adhere to it. The individual who ensures its provision regardless of the circumstances. Numerous adversaries he had to vanquish to attain it. However, mere boldness is insufficient. Unfocused aggression radiates with intensity and subsequently extinguishes. Strategic and cunning in approach. Ruthlessness is a calculated choice. It selects its objectives with precision. It possesses the discernment to execute and equally significant when to cease. Your intentions do not appear to be destructive. All individuals who advances while you stay behind, yet immobilized by the inquiry what? Will individuals engage in contemplation? Those individuals are not weighed down by such uncertainties. They possess comprehension. The game. They are prepared to utilize the conscience utilized as a tool for your detriment. One may choose to continue in a state of victimhood, or one may decide to take proactive steps forward, enter the arena on their own conditions. This accomplishes, not synonymous with adopting cruelty for its own sake. Sake. It signifies a rejection of antiquated concepts of equity hinder your ability to claiming what is rightfully yours. Do not err in your judgment. This is indicative of hubris. Genuine ruthlessness is not boisterous. It refrains from disseminating its purposes. It glides with the subtlety of a shadow. Subtle, exacting, imperceptible until it is too tardy. By the time individuals come to comprehend what has transpired, you have already transcended their influence. The instruction is unequivocal. Cease engaging in virtuous actions with the expectation of compensation. The world does not award accolades in pursuit of excellence. It chronicles the individual who creates choices made with unwavering resolve. Engage in discourse with assuredness. Proceed with alacrity and refrain from express regret for your aspirations. When others perceive your readiness to engage what they choose not to pursue, they will ultimately cease to engage in. Engaging in rivalry with you and beginning to experience trepidation. One finds oneself in contemplation of your essence. Machiavelli comprehended that it is preferable to evoke fear rather than affection. Negation, for the reason that fear possesses a certain intrinsic value. Yet, as it ensures your adversary, a person who simply, those who profess affection may ultimately betray you. The instance when affection transitions into a source of discomfort. This illustrates the manner in which power consolidates. Does it not? Not merely through kindness, but rather through a foundation of respect. Respect emerges from audacity rather than virtue. There exists a perilous misconception in the act of attempting to embody perpetual fairness and boundless kindness. Perpetually forgiving, it presents an impression of you, commendable indeed, yet also renders you foreseeable, vulnerable, and easily assailable. In the realm of power dynamics, indecision is. The presence of blood in the water will inevitably attract the sharks. Circle. Machiavelli cautioned that brutality, when employed effectively, is not a flaw, but an essential requirement. The essential principle is to avoid being ruthless. Constantly, it is to be exacting. A feeble individual reacts impulsively, inflicting retribution. Those in his vicinity exhibited sudden outbursts of ire. The formidable individual exhibits a remarkable sense of patience. He remains in a state of anticipation, observes, and selects his opportunity meticulously. Upon his eventual decision to act, the strike is remarkably incisive, so definitive that one would be wise to refrain from challenging him once more. Calculated. Cruelty does not equate to perpetual violence. It exists. Focused aggression, a singular pivotal strike that neutralizes the danger. For eternity, throughout history, one can observe numerous leaders who have encountered failure due to their attempts to placate adversaries. Rather than obliterating them, they exhibited restraint. Adversaries who subsequently emerged with greater resilience. They administered punishment in measured increments, fostering bitterness devoid of trepidation. They existed, compassionate at inopportune moments and unforgiving when the moment had passed beyond redemption. Compassion is commendable, yet solely when you are present. Absolute mastery, and construct an example so compelling that others will reconsider before attempting to evaluate your capabilities. The manifestation of a composed determination provides greater safeguarding than a multitude. Warm expressions of camaraderie. However, cruelty must be cognizant, devoid of sentiment. If one, to act out of anger is to invite error. To act out of trepidation is to unveil vulnerability. Strategic cruelty does not pertain to fury. The matter at hand pertains to the exercise of control. You do not engage in action, not due to your sense of being overwhelmed, rather due to you have determined that this particular instance is quite severe. This action will avert 10 potential issues in the future. Within, the principle remains applicable to your own existence. In more nuanced, understated manners, terminate the employment of the individual who overtly subverts your efforts instead of issuing a multitude of cautions, conclude attriceri, so comprehensively that no one would dare to reiterate it. A singular, unambiguous separation provides greater clarity. communication that transcends numerous trivial acts of vengeance. When others recognize your capabilities, exhibiting resolute action, possessing the ability to maintain emotional detachment, when deemed appropriate, they shall engage with you in a manner that reflects. Exercise prudence. Your standing will largely determine. The task is completed on your behalf. Individuals may perceive, twice before engaging with an individual who is not, reluctant to undertake a decisive measure. Furthermore, it is rather amusing to note that one must employ less frequent acts of cruelty, similar to a blade unsheathed. Its very existence fosters tranquility. The most exceptional leaders throughout history were not individuals who have consistently refrained from employing cruelty. They existed, individuals who employed it at the opportune moment, in an appropriate manner, and subsequently governed in. An atmosphere of tranquility prevailed as individuals refrained from engaging. Incite them once more. They recognize that authority necessitates a dual approach, a soft exterior concealing a formidable strength. However, the fist must possess authenticity, rather than merely serving as a symbol. In your quest for strength, cease your efforts to attain the favor of others through ceaseless equity. The general populace does not genuinely honor those who consistently exhibit kindness. Individuals honor those who possess the fortitude to impose their intentions. Your assignment does not entail be cherished. It is to be regarded with a measured apprehension. That affection becomes a matter of choice. Initiate a forceful action. Infrequently, deliver a decisive blow. Upon your engagement, execute it with such thoroughness that the adversary shall not ascend once more. This is not cruelty devoid of purpose. It exists. Self-control. It embodies efficiency, and it is the act of enduring. Mercy holds significance, yet it is limited to specific contexts, when it incurs no expense to you. Power resides not solely in one's actions. This elucidates why genuine operators do not simply perform. They articulate their actions in advance. Others are capable as well. They render treachery appear, similar to loyalty, until language imparts significance to them. Overcome an adversary without adequately contextualizing it, and you will appear as a despot. Present it as a requisite form of justice, and the audience will exult as your adversary succumbs. Out. Reflect on the manner in which leaders across history has orchestrated its own commendable qualities. Individuals displayed magnanimity while discreetly appropriating prosperity. It provides protection as you execute actions that some might deem unethical. Deception serves as a blunt instrument. Narratives possess a certain sophistication. They yield perceptions with such depth that even what appears to be truth may, in fact, be deceptive. Rather than rejecting your plans, submerge them in a more profound narrative. Individuals tend to accept notions that appeal to their vanity, their aspirations, and apprehensions. Present them with the script, which they will articulate vocally on your behalf. The most dangerous narrative is the one that appears to lack an identifiable author. It is not possible to attribute it to you. They lack the capacity to engage in conflict. Adversaries will endeavor to unveil your vulnerabilities. Permit them. Should you have crafted the narrative with precision sufficient, their admonitions will resonate. Paranoid, even unhinged, you do not refute their allegations with counterarguments. You dismantle them through scorn and uncertainty, transform their reality into humor, and they will suffocate on the very indignation they cultivate. Engage in action. Not only control how you are seen, manipulate the perception of your adversaries. Within this game, each action necessitates a shadow, a meticulously designed tale affixed to it prior to it. Leave your hand. If you provide others with an opportunity to articulate your actions, you have already forfeited a significant portion of the struggle. Recall, power is not acquired in a singular moment. It exists upheld consistently through observation. 1. One may vanquish a competitor, yet should one permit the narrative portrays you as a threat to all individuals. You shall bring together all adversaries in opposition to you. Construct the narrative in such a manner that your ascent appears unavoidable and your adversaries appear despondent due to defiance. Instill in them a greater apprehension of the crowd's scrutiny than your instrument. Upon achieving mastery, one can even withdraw without appearing feeble. It is possible to forfeit progress and persuade the global community that it was an integral aspect of your strategize. One may choose to betray allies and possess. I express my gratitude to them for the enlightening lesson. One is able to engage in any endeavor, provided that you determine the course of action. It signifies precedence over others. Authority does not reside with the individual who initiates the action. It is the possession of the individual who determines the cost of that action, the genuinely unyielding dominance. The consequences that followed, they reside in the periphery, molding the consequences, incentives, and stories that proceed. Upon achieving mastery over consequences, there is no longer a necessity to issue commands or insist on allegiance. Individuals will experience trepidation and transgress you due to their acquired understanding of the expense is exceedingly burdensome. Reflect on the ways in which leaders have navigated the complexities of governance throughout the ages, regulated not through the suppression of insurrection, however, by rendering rebellion inconceivable. Machiavelli articulated that fear holds greater significance, more dependable than affection, as fear is contingent regarding the concept of punishment and the factors upon which it relies. One finds oneself in contemplation of your essence. If one is able to determine whether the adversary's assault either leads to his downfall or propels him to greater heights. In your pursuit, you have already achieved victory. Should you be able to determine the implications of a friend's treachery to the act of absolution or societal annihilation, your authority is unequivocal. The feeble engage with the superficial. Decisions are already being made regarding the forthcoming outcomes. Once the turmoil subsides, they are not concerned regarding the blade. They are considering the outcome of the assailant's actions, celebrated as a champion or condemned as a offender. To excel in the game, construct a framework in which all actions ultimately reflect back upon oneself. If an individual extends assistance, it is likely that they possess a certain level of insight. Rewards emanate solely from your being. If, when one inflicts pain upon another, it is imperative that they recognize the consequences of their actions. The repercussions are so grave that no one dares to attempt. Once more, one should never delegate the responsibility of administering consequences to randomness or disorder. Do not permit an individual. Alternatively, articulate the resolution of your disputes, whether it pertains to a tarnished reputation or a forfeited prosperity or quiet banishment. Ensure that the concluding act consistently embodies your autograph. Examine the conduct of empires. Rome did not merely vanquish its adversaries on the theater of conflict. It rendered their fields barren, obliterated their identities, reconstructed the narrative. Thus, they scarcely manifested. The penalty was not merely a fleeting experience of discomfort, yet an enduring lesson etched into rock. That is the manner in which one ought to engage in thought rather than in considerations of victories or defeats, but rather in the context of molding the recollection of events that transpire when an individual stands in opposition to your views. In order to accomplish this, it is essential to maintain a certain degree of emotional detachment. Under no circumstances, act without careful consideration. An individual reacts impulsively in frustration, resulting in the consequences of opposing him are uncertain and thus negligible. A Machiavellian performs calculations, He remains in a state of anticipation. He administers punishment in a method that not only annihilates his adversary, however, it provides guidance to all observers present. A singularly selected outcome has the potential to avert a decade of potential betrayals. This authority necessitates careful planning. Establish a position of advantage. Silently. Confidentialities, liabilities, responsibilities. Craft your relationship in a manner that others perceive it. Rely on your preference rather than on the theoretical, fundamental tenets of allegiance. Subsequently, when an individual challenges the status quo, you refrain. It is unnecessary to resort to vocal outbursts or intimidation. One merely determine their destiny with calculated exactitude. Perhaps you allowed them to remain entangled. Prolonged ambiguity for several months. It is possible that you consider all that they offer in one decisive action. The essence lies not in cruelty for its own sake. Beverage. The essence lies in the establishment of order. It is your decision to make. When individuals discover that you possess control, the ramifications they cease to be concerned about, regardless of the correctness of your position. Individuals merely refrain from interfering with your pursuits. Authority transitions from a discussion to an established reality concerning the natural world, as no one disputes. Gravity. No one disputes a person who renders the expense of resistance excessively elevated to bear. In each action you undertake, inquire. Consider if this individual opposes me. Am I the one who determines their fate? If the response is negative, you continue to engage in the activity. Superficial endeavor. Should the response be affirmative, you have arrived at the profound stage, the tier, where the rulers of Machiavelli's domain govern without requiring to elevate their vocal expressions. Regulating outcomes is not merely a matter of exhibiting a formidable demeanor. It pertains to a subtle approach, guaranteeing that each pathway converges once more to. It is solely your prerogative to determine whether the journey culminates in either fulfillment or downfall. If one is prepared to cease existing as a target for, refine your intellect and evolve. If you are beyond reach, then remain in this state. Medium. Each week, we delve further into the strategies that distinguish leaders from the governed. Kindly express your appreciation for this video and consider sharing it with others. An individual who requires an honest perspective, and subscribe to ensure you remain informed about future updates. Instruction. Due to the fact that the world is not progressing, more gentle, and if you fail to cultivate the ability to be unyielding, an unyielding individual will come to exercise authority over you.